Due to the rise in inequality, there's been a huge debate on how to extract money from the super rich for the public good. And unfortunately, the two traditional arguments are now in a state of deadlock. Trickle-down economics is justifiably criticised due to the fact that the super wealthy have a very low marginal propensity to consume. Put simply, any extra income that they earn from assets really isn't spent and then doesn't go round the circular flow of income. On the other hand, the supposed moral argument for taxing the rich very, very highly has also failed, as we can see by the mass exodus of millionaires from the UK in 2024 and 2025. We're going to miss out on a lot of VAT receipts from their discretionary expenditure. And we're also going to miss out on national insurance contributions that they would have paid from business ventures that they might have undertaken in the UK if it had been a more compelling place to stay. In my opinion, the supposed moral argument for taxing the rich through the roof fails to understand the psyche of millionaires and billionaires. The supposed moral argument states that these people have only become very wealthy by exploiting the poor, and so they need to repay their debt to society by giving a lot of their money back to the UK government. However, these people have not become millionaires and billionaires by simply throwing their money at entities which have a terrible return on invested capital and also are terrible at managing debt, which is exactly what the UK government is. There's also been far too much time spent on trying to justify taking money off the rich, instead of setting out a really good framework from which people on lower incomes can then prosper. My vision is that we work hand in hand with very wealthy people, attract them to stay in the UK, and anyone with more than £10 million worth of foreign assets that they want to sell, we motivate them to sell those assets and then put that money towards building affordable housing here in the UK to benefit people on lower incomes. What you do here is you have to be savvy and find an asset, such as foreign shares, such as US shares, that they're sitting on and they're not selling due to the high amount of capital gains tax that they would incur. You then say that they can sell at least £10 million worth of these foreign assets, such as Apple shares, and only pay a heavily reduced level of capital gains tax, such as 5% or 1%, as long as 95% of the proceeds of those sales are invested into affordable housing in the UK. So what you're doing is you're getting some tax revenue, and investment money is being taken from abroad and being put into projects in the UK which will benefit people in the UK on low incomes. Now, there have been a couple of criticisms to this. Firstly, of course, the far left criticised my idea to say, you're just giving tax breaks to the rich. My argument against that is no. As long as you're savvy, you are finding assets that these people are sitting on, great previous winners, and they're never going to sell anyway, so you're not going to get any capital gains tax revenue from them anyway. Although he's not a UK citizen, the best example of this would be Warren Buffett's Coca-Cola and American Express shares that he bought in the 1980s. He doesn't sell them because they're the greatest investment at the moment. He doesn't sell them because if he sold them, he'd incur huge capital gains. Another criticism of my proposal is that multimillionaires are savvy people, and then they'd say, I'm not interested in this proposal due to the fact that I can get a higher return from US tech shares than affordable housing. I disagree with that, because a recent example I knew a very high net worth individual who bought some Apple shares in 2014. He is a savvy investor and realised that in early 2025, when those Apple shares reached a share price of $250, that they were overvalued. He wanted to sell them, but he did not sell them due to the amount of capital gains tax he would incur. Therefore, he's held on to them. We received no tax revenue from him. His assets have gone down in value. And if we want to build affordable housing, we have to take it from other taxpayers. So, over the course of the last 6 months, this has proven to be a lose-lose for absolutely everyone. Now, if he could have sold those assets when they're overvalued, you could then argue that, well, those shares are going to go down in value, and therefore investing in affordable housing in the UK would actually then provide a better return. So I completely oppose the introduction of any wealth tax, as we already have 4 wealth taxes, and my idea is, instead of taxing the rich more, work with them treat them as if they're savvy investors, which is what they are, offer them a compelling investment to sell their foreign-held assets, and then instead invest in affordable housing in the UK, and therefore we can build a lot of affordable housing which is funded by the rich and not have to be funded by taxing the working class and the middle class even further.